Hello, I'm Ying, and this talk is on the paper Are Current Voice Interfaces Designed to Support Children's Language Development? This paper is co-authored with Stacy, Branham, Xinwei, Deng, Penelope, and Mark Warschauer. So let's first talk about the motivation of the study. Young children develop their language gifts through everyday communications with their parents, teachers, and other familiar adults. In the recent years, voice user interfaces, or VUIs, have become increasingly available and popular among households with children. These VUIs are capable of simulating speech-based interpersonal interaction. And as such, they may play a role in children's language development by serving as their language partners, complementing what traditional human partners could do. However, one big question is how well these voice-based apps are really designed to support language development. While many HCI studies have proposed that VUI's conversation design should generally be grounded in human-to-human communication, these suggestions are often too general and not tailored for children. So in this paper, we developed an evaluation framework based on the adult-child communication literature that identifies effective dialogue strategies adults can use to support children's learning. We then use this framework to evaluate about 150 voice-based apps to see whether these apps use the evidence-based strategies. So let's talk about our evaluation framework. Adult-child conversation usually follows a systematic structure. Adults initiate a topic of discussion and encourage the child's verbal expression. After the child responds to the prompt, the adult then provides feedback that builds upon the child's response. For the initiation strategies, the research has broadly categorized the adult's questions into open-ended versus restricted questions. Generally speaking, open-ended questions request higher cognitive demands and elicit more complex responses. For the feedback strategies, the literature describes 4 dimensions that could be used to categorize the adult's feedback. Contingency, whether the feedback is semantically tailored to children's response. Extension, whether feedback deepens the conversation based on the child's response. Encouragement, whether feedback calls for children to complete a language task to their full potential. Adjustment, whether feedback is adapted to the child's developmental levels. We used this procedure to identify 143 apps from the Google and Amazon platforms for evaluation. I'm going to highlight some interesting results. In terms of the initiation strategies, most of the apps begin dialogue cycles using prompts that restrict either the length or scope of children's responses. In terms of the app's feedback strategy, the app's feedback design did not always come with extensions or encouragement, nor did it adjust the dialogue based on children's responses. This could miss the opportunities to provide children with effective guidance during the interaction. Moreover, apps that ask open-ended questions are less likely to be able to provide contingent feedback than those asking restrictive questions. Now I'm going to contextualize the findings and show you how some dialogue strategies play out in an app. The example you see here is a trivia app. Each rectangle represents one dialogue cycle, and there are 4 in total. Each cycle begins with an app asking a what question that has a very clear directive that constrains the scope of the child's answer. While this app explicitly verifies whether the answer is correct or incorrect, it does not provide additional information that could extend on the child's response. The final cycle in this app is very typical of the current voice app's adjustment and encouragement strategies. The app simply interprets "I don't know" as an incorrect response and replies, "It is not the answer," before asking the child to try again. Also, the dialogue cycles are disconnected, rather than organizing by increasing difficulty level or based on the child's competence. Based on the findings, we propose 4 recommendations for developing VUIs that initiate dialogue and provide feedback in ways that better facilitate children's language learning. Thank you for your time. We're looking forward to your questions.